So, the concept of this video is very simple. Firstly, we grab a tier list. Then we take all the species on Ultimate Hunting's California map. Then we take a checklist and we score each animal out of 5 on 4 categories. And then we chuck them on the tier list. Now, this is the second video I've made like this. The first one had the African species on. And a very quick disclaimer. Obviously, I am not an American hunter and I've never hunted any species in America. So I had to reach out to my Discord community and ask them how they would rate each animal according to difficulty. I then took their scores, combined it with what I thought my difficulty for each species would be, and I got an average. So even though I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, let's get started. First up is the American badger. Iconic status, I would say, is a 4. It's definitely not the most iconic species when it comes to America. However, it is up there. Uniqueness, I know for a fact that it has appeared in Way of the Hunter, but I'm not sure of it appearing in any other games. I could be wrong, but I'll give it a 4. When it comes to difficulty, I personally do not think that the badger is very difficult to hunt, and the Discord community seem to agree. So the difficulty for the American badger is going to be a 2. Then the excitement. Well, since it's not been in a bunch of games, I'm going to rate my excitement for this at a 4. Meaning that the American badger is going to be a B tier. Then we go on to the black-tailed deer. Iconic status, I would say basically every deer species in America is iconic. So that is going to get a 5. Uniqueness, it has been in a couple of games. So unfortunately, it's going to get a 3. Difficulty, it's obviously not the easiest species to hunt, but also not the most difficult. So it's going to go right in the middle with a 3. Then excitement. Well, since it has been in a couple of games, I am going to have to give it a 3 as well. Meaning that the black-tailed deer is going to be a C tier. Then we get to the ringneck pheasant. Iconic, it is definitely not the most iconic species out there. I will have to give it a 3. Uniqueness, pheasant species have been in a couple of games, so that will unfortunately have to get a 3 as well. Difficulty is going to be a 2. And my excitement for them is unfortunately a 2. So that means that ringneck pheasant is going to be a D tier. Then we get to the bighorn sheep. Iconic status, I'm sure in some areas in America it is extremely iconic, in others not so much, so I'll balance it out with a 4. Uniqueness, it has been in a load of games, so that is going to have to get a 2. Difficulty, here my Discord community and I disagreed. I felt that the bighorn sheep would be a level 4 difficulty, but the community felt that it would be a 5. And I can understand why. The terrain that they inhabit is not the easiest to hunt in, so yeah, bighorn sheep is a 5. Then the excitement, with it having been in so many games, I cannot be very excited for it, so it will have to get a 3. Meaning bighorn sheep is going to be our second species in B tier. Then we get to the mountain lion. Iconic, it's definitely iconic, so that's got to be a 5. Uniqueness, it's been in a bunch of games as well, so that I cannot give it a very high score, so that's going to have to be a 3. Difficulty, here the Discord community and I agreed wholeheartedly. It is not an easy species to hunt, so that is going to be a 5. Then excitement. Unfortunately, again, with it having been in a bunch of games, I'm not very excited for it. So that will have to be a 3, which then puts the mountain lion as our first species in A tier. Mule deer. Iconic, once again, it's a deer species, so that has got to be a 5. Uniqueness, same as the blacktail and the mountain lion, it has been in a bunch of games, so that is going to have to be a 3. Difficulty, I'm going to score it exactly the same as blacktail, so that's going to be a 3. And then excitement, just like blacktail, is going to have to be a 3. I am just not very excited for them because of the fact that they've been used so much, which means that mule deer is going to be C tier. American crow. Iconic, there are crows all over the world, and the American crow does not stand out that much from all the other crows. So iconic status will have to be a 1. Uniqueness, I do not know of any other game that's had a crow in it. So that is going to have to be a 5. Difficulty, I don't think crows are very difficult to hunt. So that is going to have to be a 1. And the excitement, I'm not very excited to hunt birds, is going to have to be a 3. So the American crow is going to end up in D tier. Then we get to the black bear. Iconic, I don't think there's very much that's more iconic than bear when it comes to America, so 5 all the way. Uniqueness, it has been in basically every hunting game that's ever existed, so that is going to have to be a 2. Difficulty, here is where I relied heavily on the Discord community because I have got no idea how difficult bear are to hunt, and the general consensus was that it's going to be a 3. Then my excitement, it's been overused, so it's going to have to be a 2. So black bear, even though it's extremely iconic, is going to be C tier. Now onto raccoon. Iconic, trash pandas are iconic, so that's a 5. Unique, if my memory serves me correctly, it's only been in 1 game, so I could be wrong. However, I am going to give it a 4. Difficulty, I don't think raccoon are very difficult to hunt, so that is going to have to be a 2. And my excitement's going to be a 4, meaning that raccoon is going to be A tier. Then we get to the Thule elk. Iconic, well, elk very much like deer are extremely iconic, so that's a 5. Uniqueness, even though this is the first time we're getting a Thule elk in a game, we have got elk in various other games. However, I am going to give it props for the fact that it's a Thule elk, so I am going to give it a 4. Difficulty, I do know of a lot of people that have gone hunting elk and have spent days on end tracking elk, so they are going to be a 4. And my excitement, even though they have been in a bunch of games, I'm going to give it a 4, meaning that Thule elk is going to be an S tier species. Then we move on to mallard. Iconic status, I don't think a mallard is truly iconic, so that is going to have to be a 3. Uniqueness, mallard have also been in so many hunting games that it's almost impossible to count, so that is going to have to be a 2. Difficulty is going to be a 2 as well. I just don't think that they're very difficult to hunt. And my excitement, I am just not excited for mallard. They are overused. So that is going to have to be a 1, meaning that mallard is an F tier species. Then we get on to pronghorn. Iconic, I do know that not everybody thinks of pronghorn off the bat when they think of America. However, I think they are quite iconic, so I'm going to have to give it a 5. Uniqueness, once again, it's been in a couple of games, so that's going to lose it some points, meaning it's a 3. Difficulty, I think their eyesight and the terrain they live in warrants them being rated slightly more difficult than normal, so that is going to be a 4. And my excitement is unfortunately a 3, meaning that pronghorn is going to be an A tier species. Then we get to the California quail. Iconic, I do not know of a single international person when asked to name animals from America would name a California quail off the top of their head. So yeah, iconic is going to have to be a 1. Uniqueness, quail has been in 1 game that I'm aware of, so that's going to cost it a point, meaning that California quail is going to score a 4. Difficulty, I think with the fact that they're so small and they like to hide in taller grass and brush could make them more difficult to hunt, so I'm going to bump them up 1 point and give them a 2. And my excitement, to be honest, I was going to score this very low until I saw a photograph of a California quail. When I saw that feather plume on its head, I just had to score it more highly because I need one of these in my trophy lodge. So, excitement, I am going to score it a 4, meaning that the California quail is going to be C tier. Then we get to the wild turkey. Iconic, absolutely a 5. There's no doubt about it. Uniqueness. Now, if this was a year and a half ago, uniqueness, I would have scored it much higher than what I'm going to. But it's absolutely been abused recently in hunting games, which means that uniqueness is going to get a 1. Difficulty, I do know that a lot of people have said that it's not so easy hunting turkey, meaning that I'm going to give it 1 extra point for that and score it a 2. And when it comes to my excitement, it's gonna get a 1. And the only reason it's getting a 1 is because I can't give it a 0. Meaning that turkey is going to be an F tier species. Now, wild boar. Iconic, you don't just find wild boar in America, you find them around the world. Granted, different species, however, still same name, so same principle. Meaning that I'm gonna have to score it a 3. Uniqueness, once again, it's overused in hunting games, so that is going to have to get a 2. Difficulty is going to be a 3, I think when stalking through the woods, hunting a boar is going to be more difficult than when baited. So given that, I'm going to score it a 3. And my excitement for wild boar is a 1. I just cannot score it any higher than that. There is nothing left to get me excited about wild boar, unfortunately. Meaning that boar is another F tier species. And I can already see the angry comments being typed out. But let's move on to the wood duck. Iconic, I'm gonna score it a 2. I should score it a 3, very much like mallard. I'm going to give it a 3. Uniqueness, I was going to score it the same as mallard and just give it a 2. However, this is a perching duck, which makes it slightly different. So uniqueness, I'm going to give it a 3. Now difficulty, I was again going to score it the same as mallard, but I think the aspect of it perching is going to make it slightly different. So I'm going to be generous and I'm going to give it a 3. And my excitement, I'm going to be honest with you, as I'm sure you've noticed, I'm not a fan of birds or ducks. However, I'm curious to see what they do with this duck in the game. So I'm going to give it a 4, which puts wood duck at C tier. And then we get to the snowshoe hare. Iconic status, I just do not think a lot of people think of rabbits or hare when they think of America. I'm going to give it a 2. Uniqueness, rabbits have been in so many hunting games. I just cannot score it higher than a 1. Difficulty, taking its size into account and the fact that it's relatively camouflaged depending on the season, I'm going to score the difficulty at a 3. And my excitement, I have no excitement. It's going to have to be a 1, unfortunately, meaning that snowshoe hare is going to be an F tier species. So folks, here is the final tier list. Now, before you rip me apart in the comments, on my Discord, I am going to have all the assets that I used to make this video. So go ahead, make your own tier list, share it on my Discord. And here's another idea. Why not get a hold of your favorite content creator that does hunting games and challenge them to also do a tier list? And let's see where that goes. Now, if you haven't already, go across and watch my African species tier list. Thank you so very much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.